What's going on, everybody? All right, so I have a Tundra, a Jeep, a Mustang, and a thermometer. And no, it's not rectal. But what this thermometer is it does measure how cold or hot your air conditioning and heater is. So I thought, how cold is my Tundra's air conditioner? Is it colder than my other two vehicles? So what we're going to be doing today is I have a predetermined destination that I'm going to be driving to. It is probably 8 to 10 miles away from my house. Now, if y'all don't know, your air conditioner isn't as cold just sitting there idling. Your air conditioner is actually colder the more RPMs you run. I have a buddy that works on air conditioners, and anytime he checks my Freon or anything like that, and even not my truck's never had any issues. None of my vehicles have ever had any issues, but I have in the past. And anytime he checks on the Freon, he always has me rev the engine up to like between 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs to check how cold it actually gets. Because he says the higher RPM you get up to like that, the colder your air conditioner will be. So we're not just going to let the cars sit here idle. We're actually going to drive them down the road. And you know, when you first turn on your air conditioner, it's not real cold anyway. So we're actually going to drive it down the road, give the car a little bit of time to kind of heat up and get everything flowing and functioning right. And that should be good, like I said, within 8 to 10 miles. And we should be able to get a good reading on how cold the air will get to. I will drive the cars from here all today, so it's the same temperature. We'll drive them the same distance, and none of the vehicles have been started today or drove anywhere. So they've all been sitting overnight, they've not went anywhere, and they're all cold. So they all have equal playing field. This isn't the most scientific test, but it is a pretty good comparison considering all the playing field is level. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go ahead and take the Mustang first, then the Jeep, and then the truck, and we'll compare the truck to the other two and just see if it's colder than any of the other two or not. Now, I have my feeling about this, and I'm not going to reveal that till the end, but I don't know if the truck is the coldest, but I guess we're all going to find out here in just a few minutes. Okay, now the way this works is you have this thermometer here and it extends out, and you actually set it like down in your vent right here. If it'll stay, I don't know if it'll stay there or not. Yep, it'll stay right there. And when you turn it on, of course, it'll actually give you a reading. Right now it says inside the car, I've not started yet, is 83.6 degrees. So we'll actually stick that in here. Hopefully it'll stay while we're driving. And then once we actually get back home, we'll pull this thing back out and see what the temperature is. Now, I'm not going to make y'all watch me drive the car. I'm going to drive the car, come back home, and then once I get home, we'll check and see how cold the air is once we arrive back. Okay, just got back home, and it's reading 38.8 degrees. So 38.8 degrees is what you're reading right now. That's actually pretty amazing. As soon as you take this thing out, it starts going back up. So we have to actually, but as soon as you take this thing out, it starts going back up, as you can see right there. But 38.8 degrees. Now, I don't know how to exactly use this. I don't know what max and min. Let's see what it got here. Max was 83. Min was 38.4. So I need to write that down. So 38.4 was actually as cold as it got. It's pretty cool it has that feature. I didn't even know that. But 38.4 was as cold as it got driving it down the road. It's cool that it has that, because as soon as you cut the car off, it actually starts going back up. So what we're going to do now is get in the Jeep and try this again, but I'm going to write down the 38.4 before I go so I don't forget that. Okay, now we're in a Jeep. I do want to say I did check this. When you turn this off and back on, it does reset the min and max, which is pretty cool. That way it's not fluctuating from the car. If this doesn't get as cold as the car, that way it doesn't show it. Again, nobody thinks exhausts are necessary right here. Sorry about that. But this was a bad idea, because the vents won't hold up this thermometer because it's kind of heavy. So I'm actually having to hold this with my hand while I'm driving down the road. And I am running these on max air, as cold as it can get. That way it gets as cold as possible. But I've had to hold it in the Mustang with my fingers while I drove down the road, and man, did that get cold. And man, did that get sketchy a couple times, because it's a manual and I'm trying to hold a thermostat or a thermometer, drive the car, and change gears. It was a little sketchy, but we made it, and we got it done. But it just sucks I couldn't get it wedged in there where I had to hold it, because my fingers were freezing. But we're going to do the same thing with the Jeep now. We're going to turn it on full blast. We're going to drive it the same distance, turn around, drive it back home, and then we'll see what the minimum was. Okay, just arrived back home, and this is reading like 52 or 53. Now, I do want to say it is going back up where we stopped. So let's hit the min max and see what we got. The minimum was 48.2. So let me write that down real quick before I forget. 48.2, but you can definitely see that this did not get anywhere near as cold as the Mustang did, and nor does it feel it. I didn't have to change hands at all or anything like that. While I was driving, you know, my hand didn't get so cold I had to change it like it did in the Mustang. The Mustang was freezing my hand off. There's literally almost perfectly a 10-degree difference between the Mustang and the Jeep. So now I guess it's time to check the Toyota. Put your all's bets, stick it in the comments. Can the Toyota beat 38.4? I guess we're fixing to find out. All right, so now we're in the Tundra. It's pretty hot in here. I'll have to turn this all the way down because I do have climate control. So I'll have to turn this all the way down to get it to the max AC. We'll take the same trip and see how cold it gets. So far, that Mustang was ridiculous. Every Ford I've ever owned has had amazing air conditioner. I can say that for them. I may not always like the vehicle or something like that, but every Ford I've ever owned had amazing air conditioning. So let's see if the Tundra can beat the Mustang and come out king of the air conditioning. Okay, I'm back home. You can see it was on low. I had to hold it the whole time like I did the other one. I've not looked at it yet, but I think this is going to be really close. I think it's going to be really close. And speaking of close, this reminds me of a story I was told back when I was a wee lad. Nah, I'm kidding. I ain't going to make y'all wait on this. Let's see what it is. Let's see what we're sitting at right now. It's 42.6. And it's going up, so let's see what the min max is. Now remember, we got to beat 38.4 for the Mustang and 48.2 for the Jeep. The max is 38.1. The Tundra does have the coldest air at 38.1. Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. I knew it was going to be close, but I didn't know it's going to be that close. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so there it is. So for all the boys and girls following at home, the Jeep come in third at 48.2. Maybe I'll have that one checked out because it wasn't quite as cold as the other two, nowhere near it. And then the Mustang came in a tight second place at 38.4, and the Tundra won at 38.1. Now I want to say the Mustang does feel colder, but that is because of all the room in the cabin of this truck. It takes more time and air to actually cool off the cabin of this truck. Where the cabin of the Mustang is smaller, it doesn't take as long to cool that off. So the Mustang did feel colder, but in reality, the thermometer doesn't lie. But it's still, both vehicles are very cold. The Jeep is adequate, but I've always thought it wasn't quite as good. So I probably will have my buddy check that one out and see if it's a little lower Freon or anything, see if we can get that a little colder. I have been in Jeep Wranglers like mine that would just freeze you out of those things. I actually test drove 2 or 3 of them that had some of the coldest air I'd ever felt. So maybe mine does have a slight leak. Maybe it's a little low. I don't know, but I'll probably have it checked out. But for right now, if you all picked that the Tundra had the coldest air, you're correct. I know this wasn't the most scientific, but this is a digital thermometer. This thing was $20, $25 off Amazon if you want to buy one and conduct your own test. But I do think it's pretty accurate. I checked it against a thermometer in the house, and they both read the same thing, so it does appear to be pretty accurate. It does read pretty quickly, as you saw, because as soon as you take it out, it does start going up, and this is one of the best ones I've seen on there. It had some of the best reviews. But here it is. Like I said, Tundra's the king again. That's what we're all here for. That's what the channel's been based on, and the truck just keeps proving itself. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.